Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends Daredevil. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends Daredevil from the Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again. Now this is starting to hit retail over in the US, so I thought it's the perfect opportunity to jump on a review, as I'm also eager to take a look at this updated Daredevil for our live action Marvel Legends collection. But of course he's not the only one, as there is also a Punisher out there as well to accompany the return of Daredevil to our screens. We know it's renewed for season 2 as well, so maybe potential for more characters in the future, but I'm very happy to see Daredevil and Punisher first out the gate. So today let's concentrate on Matt Murdock himself. So there he is, Daredevil in the packaging. We do get a couple of accessories with Daredevil Born Again logo at the bottom. There he is on the side. On the back of the box, no wave association. At first we thought this may be part of a wave, but no, 2 single releases. We do get a write-up that says, what kind of lawyer is Matt Murdock? A really good one. Ace attorney by day, Matt Murdock pursues justice for those who cannot achieve it themselves. So without further ado, let's get him open. Here we have Daredevil out of the packaging with his few accessories on the table. Of course, we get a couple of billy clubs that you can holster at his thigh. You get one fisted hand, one more expressive throwing hand, if you will. And then if this looks familiar, that's because it's the same effect sort of piece we have gotten with our comic figures, just now in black. So unfortunately, it doesn't articulate. It's a soft piece of plastic that will always bounce back into this shape. If that was bendy wire, it would be game changing for poses. So yeah, a bendy wire version would have been appreciated. So let me move them all out the way. Let me actually put in his holsters, his billy clubs, just so I don't lose them, like so. Usually when we get these figures, it's actually the best look at the costume, because in the show he's running around in the shadows. So when we get the action figure, it gives us a better look at the details and the design of the actual costume in general. And he is a completely pinless Marvel legend. Let me get the tape measure out so we can see. He stands at just under 6.5 inches in height. So I know what you're thinking. How does he compare to the previous version? Well, let's find out. Here he is. This is the Daredevil from the 2017 Man-Thing Build-A-Figure wave, aka the Netflix wave. We did get another one with an unmasked head in that sort of railway box set, but I never opened mine. So this is what we're dealing with today. And you can see the costume designs are different entirely in regards to design and sculpt. Similar, of course, but are completely different. There is no reuse on the new one compared to the old version by any means at all. So there you go. That is our initial look. So we will come back and have a closer look at them, of course. But first, let's take a closer look at the new one. Now, one of the biggest differences in the 8 years since the last Daredevil release is the digital face printing tech. Now, you can't really see the true benefit of that on a head that is half helmeted, but everything under the nose, everything under the helmet is now digital with the beard and mouth, but the helmet itself is very nicely sculpted, textured and painted. I actually think this is a really nice sort of proportion for a helmet on top of a head as well. So if I start spinning it around here, you can see the nice sculpt and detail in the helmet, and it just cuts a very nice silhouette. Like, that is very accurate. All the way around, you can see the different textures in the helmet, in the sculpt as well, where the blacks is, and then the nice devil horns up top as well for Daredevil, of course. So it is a very nice updated head sculpt for this particular design. But if I compare it to the previous release, you can see how proportionately the new one looks a lot more accurate, but I guess the previous one, the helmet design was a bit different, a bit more clunkier anyway. So maybe both of them are pretty good for their time, but I like the new one a lot more. And if we come back to this, it's got a really good range of articulation as well, as there's a dumbbell in the head and the neck. So you get like a nice double range. So looking down, you can get him looking all the way down. No problems there at all. You can see the neck even moving, and that same in reverse, get him looking up. Really nice. And again, you can see that neck articulation better here when I'm tilting the head either side to side. So yeah, there's another ball joint down here for that at the neck. And yeah, you get your swivel, of course, on the ball joint up top. Just lots of articulation in the head, like no complaints there. Really good range for the head articulation. Solid head sculpt in general for this Daredevil. That same attention to detail in regards to sculpt and texture really does continue throughout the rest of this figure. I like how red it is as well, as we all associate red with Daredevil's costume. So this has a lot more red than the previous version. All the black lines are nicely sculpted, and then everything you see in red is basically textured. You can see it continues there on the back as well. You've got the double jointed pinless elbows. You've got his bout down to his knee pads, double jointed pinless knees, and his boots. Again, all of this figure is new. There is no reuse in the sculpt from the previous version. It is all very nice, aesthetically looks very clean, and a lot of the articulation is hidden within the elements of the sculpt. So let's check that out, shall we? So going to the shoulders, the arms go way past 90, like no complaints on that at all. There's a bicep swivel and a really clean, double jointed, pinless elbow. Like, we cannot be mad at that range on the arm. It looks like there's a butterfly joint due to this initial piece here, but it doesn't actually give you more movement. I do think that's just a design piece. As you can see, it doesn't cut in too much on the torso either. So I don't think that is additional articulation. It looks like there is, but I don't know, I'm just not getting a lot out of it. But if I move the arms out the way, now we have the ball joint at the diaphragm instead. So that's where you're going to get your tilt back and forth. And then if I go backwards, if you force it all the way, he'll lean that far back, but it does leave a bit of a gap on the front. But you can see he leans that far back for limbo in, and then forward about that much. So like an old man pose, he can't really crunch any more forward. I think the sweet spot would have been an additional crunch here at the lower torso to really maximize that articulation. There is another swivel though at the bout, so you get swivel at the bout and swivel at the top of the diaphragm there. So there's all your articulation up top. The legs will go forward to 90. There's no need for any drop down. There is enough room for the leg to go to 90. Then you get the double jointed, very clean, pinless knees. Like, look at that. He will kick his own lower butt. And again, just like the arms, the leg articulation is very clean, just feels very smooth. There is no boot swivel, even though there does seem to be like an additional sculpt there for the boot, but there is no swivel at the boot. You do get a swivel at the top of the thigh, of course, like you would have come to expect, and then obviously ankle pivot and rocker for your Daredevil. So yeah, it's got a very nice range, but I think they could have stretched it a little bit more. Let's compare it to the previous one. Now, with action figures, it's always about finding that balance between aesthetics and articulation, even more so when they're based on live action properties, as these are based on real people, real actors wearing these costumes. But I do think the new one looks very nice proportionately. The old one was fine as well for the time, but I do think the new one just looks a little bit cleaner. I like how much red the costume is as well compared to the darkness of the last one. But again, that's based on the actual show at the time too. So there's your comparison a little bit closer up. If I zoom in, you can see that the previous one had the pins in the elbows and pins in the knees. So just aesthetically, the new one's just a lot nicer, I think. But when it comes to articulation, the old one, instead of a diaphragm cut, it had the crunch at the lower torso. So you can crunch him forward like that. So if I crunch this one, as far it will go, then you can see the old one actually had more crunch forward because of that crunch. So I do think there are benefits to having a crunch still. So maybe a double ball joint at the waist, ball joint at the top of the diaphragm is probably the best way to go for these scale action figures. But I also like the crunch at the lower torso as well. So yeah, again, they could have pushed it a little bit more, but I don't think the new one is bad by any means. But I just wanted to show you a close up. And again, let's go see how far his legs will go compared to the previous one. Yeah, the previous one had bulky legs, so the new one definitely goes further up. And the arms, they're quite stiff. His arms went that far. The new one are like butter. Like, look at that for range difference. So yeah, and also the new one's got the double ball joint at the neck. So yeah, the only difference the new one, the old one has going for it is that additional crunch rather than that. So Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to point that out. That's all. What else does he come with? Well, of course, he comes with his 2 billy clubs, which you've already seen me holster down here at the thigh. So no problem with that. And yeah, they're very nicely done. And again, he does pose up really nice still. And he holds them really tight as well. Like, he will pass the earthquake test. They are not falling out of his hand. And again, these are nicely textured as well with the red. And then they've got like a silver on each end. But you can see the bottoms are hollow on both sides, and that is to plug in this additional piece. So I've plugged in both ends of the wire into the 2 billy clubs, and like you can see, it will move around because it's a soft enough plastic, and there's a closer look at the billy clubs with them attached. But they were always bounce back into that position, as it isn't actually bendy wire, but it is soft enough to just sort of repose. So let's get Daredevil to hold it. And you don't have to agree with me, but I actually still think it looks really good, as you can't tell it's stuck in that pose when you get him holding them, as he will grip them tight enough so it will hold its new position whenever you pose him, or however you pose him. Like, you start moving these arms around and they will just move around with him, like, and you can create some really nice, fun, dynamic poses with his billy clubs still attached with the rope. Of course, you don't even have to have them with both hands. You can just have the one holding it, and he could be whipping it across to another building to swing across like Spider-Man. And there you go, he'll still hold tight and swing. So I actually don't mind it. Like, would a bendy wire have been better? Yeah, of course it would have, because then you could pose it however you want. But it's not limiting by any means, and he will hold the billy clubs tight enough to get him into some nice poses. So yeah, if you want to put him in a dynamic pose on a flight stand, then it will still work, of course. But that's not all. He does come with an additional fisted right hand, and then the left hand is a little bit more dynamic, like he is about to throw his billy clubs or catch something. Again, if we're being greedy, sets are always better. Like a set of fisted hands, a set of throwing hands would have been appreciated, but at least we get something else for the display. There you go. You can pretend he's through it or something like that. So there's his other billy club being launched, and he's doing a little flip. I don't know, I just think this guy's fun. Are action figures still allowed to be fun? As this is a fun action figure based off a show that I quite liked. Looking at comparisons, first up, here we have our most recent Matt Murdock from the No Way Home wave. And I think timeline-wise, these two are pretty close anyway. So these two are a perfect pairing for our Matt Murdock. And then Daredevil, the man without fear. And again, both on completely pinless bodies, so aesthetically look good. Like, these are great representations of this character. So let's try the head on that body. And that's a shame, isn't it? As unfortunately, the neck is way too long. So you're going to have to do some dremeling to sort of get that head sitting a little bit more natural. As that is, yeah, that's not good, is it? Also, that means that head means it's got no neck. So we've got long neck and no neck. That's the frustrating thing with Marvel Legends. Like, it should be so easy just to swap these heads. But instead, he looks like, oh, that's just stupid. Yeah, it's a shame, because this is a good unmasked Matt Murdock head, and that's a good helmeted Daredevil head. And it would have been good to have that sort of mix for the display. But yeah, you're going to have to figure that one out yourself, though. That's a shame. Continuing with our comparisons, here we have Daredevil again, but this time I've brought in the previous Punisher from that very same Man-Thing Build-A-Figure wave. And again, those were both great figures for the time. They went for a pretty penny on the aftermarket, so it shows they were still very sought after. So I do think that these new ones will also follow that pattern and be very sought after. So if you can get hold of them, then definitely do so, as I don't have that new Punisher yet. It sold out overseas very quickly. I couldn't even import it in. So I'm going to have to wait like the rest of yous, but I'm very much looking forward to getting an updated Punisher to go along with Daredevil. And in regards to those head swaps, I mentioned that the other version of Daredevil that came in that Railway San Diego set did have an unmasked Daredevil Matt Murdock head without the glasses, but I'm not opening that up just for the sake of a head swap. So yeah, maybe that one will work on this body, but maybe not, who knows. And of course, we had to see what Daredevil looked like next to the main protagonist of Daredevil Born Again. It is, of course, Kingpin. Now, technically, this Marvel Legend is a representation of Kingpin from the Hawkeye series, and then that continued in Echo, I believe, and they did scale him down a little bit. So I think for Born Again, he needs to bulk up a little bit. He needs to be a little bit taller, he needs to be a little bit thicker. Let me bring in the blue background as he's wearing that white shirt. But you see what I mean? I think these look fine together, but he's definitely undersized, isn't he? Kingpin should be taller, should be bulkier in comparison to Daredevil. You let me know what you think below. And talking of that Hawkeye show, of course, Daredevil still needs somebody to beat up. So here we have some tracksuit mafia. And I'm really hoping to see these two characters return in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. It is, of course, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I think they are perfect for the role. Bring them back for Season 2 and let's get the Defenders back together again. And he looks great next to these. And he technically wore the yellow costume in She-Hulk, right? But even still, here we have Daredevil and She-Hulk. And just for a couple of extra live action characters, here we have Shang-Chi and Shuri Black Panther, as I'm assuming they're going to be a big part of the movies moving forward. But will we see Daredevil in the movies? Will he be in Spider-Man, for example? Now it's more street level. I hope so. I definitely want to see Matt Murdock at some point in those films. For our comic comparison, here we have the Daredevil from the 3-pack, probably the best comic Daredevil we have. And then we have the very recent Man Without Fear from the mini comic book Wave 2. There is a full review on the channel of this right now if you want to go and check that out. Does anybody want to see this head on that body? Unfortunately, another case of long neck syndrome, but I thought somebody might want to see. So there you go. Doesn't work. And since I've already ruined the display and took all of these Daredevils off, you may as well have another look. Here we have some of my comic Marvel Legend Daredevils. Hopefully we see our live action Daredevil wear different costumes in Season 2 as well. And once you've finished watching this video, go and check out my reviews for Astonishing Beast, Rachel Summers and Feral on the channel now as I'm working my way through the mini comic Wave 2. A couple more comic, we've got the 20th anniversary Captain America and Iron Man. Here we have Black Widow and Maximum Series Spider-Man. Here we have Hydra Bob and Deadpool. And then for no reason, here we have Doctor Doom and Thanos from the Gamerverse line. Let's wrap up with some of the Who crew. We've got Frogman, Jeff and Tigra. And then last but never least, we've got Captain Britain and Hal Fire Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Daredevil from the Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again. Just like most of you, I was very happy to see them bring back the original cast, but more importantly, do a continuation of that Netflix series, as I really did enjoy the world that was created, and now we have some of these characters in action figure form for our shelves. I really like this updated Daredevil. I know we've got a Punisher coming soon, but I do hope we get more characters from this series, as I did really like some of the character designs. Some of the story beats for the villains fell a little flat, but I'd still take a Marvel Legend Muse or a Marvel Legend Bullseye and an update of Kingpin. You let me know in the comments below, who would you like to see in the Marvel Legends line? Maybe a live action White Tiger would be good as well. Always curious to hear your thoughts and let me know what you think of this Daredevil. It's out there right now. Go and get it. If you like Marvel Legends, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all in the notification bell. Don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can find me on Instagram, it's Dan Who. I'm on X at Dan Who Reviews. Now I'm going to get back to reviewing that mini comic Wave, so go and check out those reviews on the channel right now, and I will of course see you on the next one.